What's going on? Welcome to my next video on how to draw, and this time I'm going to be drawing Retsu from the series Baki. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. Now for this, I switched up a little bit. I got a pose, and the pose I got is also from Figurosity. I got links below if you want to check that out also. And what I've done was, there was a pose, I like the pose, even though it was a female pose, but I decided to use that for the character that I'm creating now. And what I'm doing now is I'm using the shapes to make the character larger, since it's a male figure and the pose is a female figure. But you can easily alter that by just making certain parts bigger and then adding muscles. And right now you see that I'm using like circles, triangles for the hands, the circles for the main body, just to get a general shape down. You don't want to sketch it out too messy. I mean, some people like to sketch it out kind of messy, but me, I like to I used to do it before, but now I kind of just like to do shapes more, because I like to keep it a little more cleaner, so there's not too many shapes to get in the way, and I'm erasing a lot of things. And since I'm using the blue pencil, which is hard to erase anyway, I want to make as less lines as possible. That way when I'm going over it, or I'm coloring over it, it will be easy to kind of fix what's going on. And now right now I'm adding in detail to the face, and I wanted to add the face first before I started getting the rest of the body, just so I can get that put down and lined up correctly. Right now I'm getting the head, and it's usually harder when I'm drawing, especially when you're drawing other characters from other shows. You're kind of trying to figure out on the fly and trying to get the character kind of close to as possible. I mean, a lot of artists will kind of draw the characters their own way, but I wanted to kind of keep it to how it is in the book, and then just draw as close to the book as possible. So I have a bunch of references I'm looking at of him to make sure that he stays kind of close to how he looks in the series. But right now I'm adding in the muscle details, and when you're getting the muscles, like I mentioned before in my previous videos, like to curve those shapes. Curving those shapes are the easiest ways to get that muscle in. And now, right now, since I have the triangle for the hands, I'm using circles for the knuckles, so I know where the knuckles are going to be. And since the knuckles on the hands are kind of going upwards, that's why I made the circles, to kind of map out how the rest of the hand is going to be. And you can also look in the mirror also to how your body's going to look, or how the muscles are. Because sometimes, like this pose here, it's a female figure, and you're changing it to a male figure. You can, since she's not really showing a lot of muscle detail, and you want to know how to get the rest of the muscle detail in there, you can just take your own body and look at yourself in the mirror doing the exact same pose to know where to place those muscles. And also anatomy books, also you can check those out and look at where all the muscles are, how they relate to each other. A lot of times when you're making muscles, you have to make sure you get that stretch in, because when you're a lot of times you see beginning artists draw characters, one arm is down, the other arm is up, and the chest looks the same. But in reality, when you have one arm down and the right arm up, then the right arm that's going up, the chest will look stretched up. It'll look a little smaller, which I would show later on in future videos. But right now, in this video, I have the hands are close together, and I want to show tension in his chest. You can see it a little bit. I mean, I added some lines there. You'll probably see a little bit more when I start adding in the shading to it. But right now I'm outlining it, adding in the lines. And sometimes when I draw these in blue, I like to use blue mainly also because I think I forgot to mention in my other videos, but when you're adding it to Photoshop, that's like a special photo blue that I'm using. And when I'm taking it to Photoshop, those blue lines are easily erased when you're in Photoshop. I think you have to change it to like the black and white setting, and then the photo blue lines will disappear without you having to like actually erase it. It'll just turn invisible pretty much, and only the black lines will show through. That's mainly the reason why I like use the photo blue lines. And I think I use Stettler pencil, mechanical pencil, and it comes with the standard lead. But I think I brought the photo blue lead to put inside of it. I just replaced it with that. So right now I'm just outlining it, getting the hair in, darkening the hair, adding in all the blacks as I can. A lot of times I like to outline a lot of pictures. I mean, I can do some shading with pencil, and to me, pencils take longer, a little more messy, and to me, I just started getting used to using markers to shade. There's another artist that I've seen. I'm a big fan of. I actually forgot his name. I'll probably mention it later on, but he's really good. And I've seen a lot of his work on Instagram of him using markers to pretty much make shading looks like a normal painting. And I'm trying to get used to using them a lot so I can kind of get that same effect. And I just use it mainly for doing anime characters or comic book characters, and also some portraits. But markers are kind of like my go-to for doing that because it's faster and it's less messy. So right now I'm adding in the base shade, which I always do. You can either shade the whole thing or shade in sections. I'll leave some areas light, mainly for the light area. And that's where you see me right here. I'm adding in those thick to thin lines on the chest to kind of show tension from him squeezing his hands together. Intense muscles. As far as what the series goes, a lot of those characters, they're just extreme muscles going on. Adding in more shadows to the hands, to the chest. Anywhere where you know that shadows going to be, you just add the shadows in there. And a little bit more on the neck, because right under that chin is always going to be shadow in that area between the chin and Adam's apple. There's always going to be shadow right there. Unless there's like an extreme light shining from a different direction, but usually there's always shadow there. Getting in the shoulders. And it's kind of a trick method for using, especially when you're using brush markers. Brush markers is extremely easy to do those thick to thin lines. Thick to thin lines are harder with markers that have a thicker tip, but those brush markers are real easy. I mean, it depends on, right now I'm using Winsor & Newton brush markers, which are really good. But a lot of brush markers, it doesn't matter what brand they are, the brush markers always give you that thick to thin line, and they're easier to manage. I mean, you can do the same thing with the thicker markers too, with the normal tips, but I prefer brush markers. So right now I'm adding in some of the shadows. The light source is beaming the muscles, give the muscles a little more definition. I'm partly using the image, also the reference I'm looking at with the girl, but I'm also making sure that I know that I'm still creating a male character. I'm adding in more details in the neck. Adding in more shadows. It's always It's usually a trick to adding shadows. I mean, the more you, I say just practice shading different muscles, and you kind of figure out how to know where to place the shadows on the muscles. Muscles is just a big structure. Like when you're seeing a normal person muscles, I mean, unless it's really super ripped, then you'll see a lot of this. But the majority of the time, the shading on muscles are usually a lot smoother. These characters they don't have smooth bodies, so you have to keep that in mind when you're drawing these type of characters. I think I'll have a few of the characters I'm gonna start doing. I'm gonna start doing some Kingen characters also, and a little more full body poses. Right now I'm just finishing it up and adding more darks as I go along. Start shading light, and then adding more darks as you start finishing the piece. Alright, that's it for this video. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. Alright, take care.